1776. The American dream was dying before it even began. Washington's army was starving, outnumbered, and trapped in New York. This wasn't the heroic revolution you see in oil paintings. It was a desperate, chaotic struggle for survival. The British Navy had just arrived in the harbor, a forest of masts carrying the most powerful military force on Earth. Morale was at an all-time low. Desertion was rampant. But while Washington was staring down the British cannons, the real threat wasn't coming from across the water. It was standing right behind him. In the shadows of the city's taverns, a plot was brewing. Not a battle of cannons, but a mission of cold-blooded betrayal. If it had succeeded, there would be no United States today, no Constitution, no liberty, just a forgotten rebellion crushed in its infancy. To understand the danger, you have to understand the Hickey Plot. Thomas Hickey wasn't a British spy sent from London. He was an Irishman who had deserted the British Army to join the Americans. He was charismatic, capable, and rose quickly through the ranks until he was chosen for the ultimate honor, Washington's Lifeguards. This was an elite unit, the best of the best, hand-picked to be the general's personal shield. They knew his schedule, they knew where he slept, and they knew what he ate. But Hickey had a secret. He had been seduced by the promise of British gold and a full pardon. He wasn't working alone. The mayor of New York, David Matthews, was in on it. They were recruiting a secret army of loyalists right under Washington's nose. Their goal wasn't just to kill one man, it was to decapitate the entire revolution in a single coordinated strike. The conspirators met in dark basement bars like the Corbie's Carrier, whispering over glasses of rum. The plan was terrifyingly thorough. At the exact moment the British fleet launched their attack on the city, Hickey and his co-conspirators would blow up the ammunition magazines, bridge the gaps for the British landing, and, most importantly, capture or assassinate George Washington. Imagine the scene. The British start their bombardment. Smoke fills the air. Washington rushes to lead his men, only to find his own bodyguards pointing their muskets at his back. But as the date of the invasion grew closer, the plotters made a classic mistake. They grew overconfident. Hickey ended up in a civilian jail for passing counterfeit money, and while sitting in that cell, he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He bragged to his cellmates about a great honor that was coming his way. He didn't realize that two of those cellmates were looking for a way to buy their own freedom by talking to the authorities.
The story takes a legendary turn at a dinner table. As the plot moved towards its climax, the rumor of poison began to circulate. Legend says Hickey tried to lace Washington's favorite dish, green peas, with a lethal dose of toxin. The story goes that Washington's housekeeper, a woman named Phoebe Francis, overheard the plot and warned the general. When the plate was set before him, Washington supposedly threw the peas out the window, where they were eaten by chickens that died instantly. While historians debate the poisoned peas theory, the reality was just as dramatic. The Continental Secret Service, a makeshift group of investigators, moved with lightning speed. They raided the mayor's house and rounded up the conspirators. Washington was devastated to find his own inner circle had turned against him. He realized then that the British weren't just fighting a war of territory, they were fighting a war of shadows. On June 28, 1776, the sun rose over a tense Manhattan. 20,000 people, nearly the entire population of the city and the army, gathered in a field. They weren't there for a speech,
They were there to see justice. Thomas Hickey was marched to the gallows. He was the first person executed for treason against what would become the United States. Washington didn't just survive, he learned. This failed mission changed him. It led to the creation of the Culper Ring, the sophisticated spy network that would eventually help win the war. He realized that to defeat an empire, he had to become a master of intelligence himself. If Hickey's hand hadn't stayed, or if those cellmates hadn't listened, the revolution would have ended that summer. History is written by the victors, but it's often saved by the smallest of margins. The Hickey Plot reminds us that the birth of America wasn't inevitable. It was a miracle of timing, luck, and narrow escapes. If you want to see how another secret unit changed the course of history, click here to watch our video on the Ghost Army of World War II. Don't forget to subscribe to help us keep these untold stories alive.